Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 Origin Continent based on novel. So let's start. The figures of Infinite Snake Ancestor, Inference Fire Ancestor, Mother of Spacetime, and Infinite Ancestor pursued them outwards, emanating boundless might in the void. Luo Feng, Yuan, Starlight. The three of you, based on strength, could rank among the top 3 in endless primordial space. The Infinite Snake Ancestor was furious and embarrassed beyond measure. You intrude into the infinite world. Killing old 13 is one thing, but slaughtering over 300 world-level primordial serpents like a giant bullying the young is utterly shameless. Considering the conquest of the destruction world, in terms of direct combat strength, Luo Feng ranks first, followed closely by Starlight, Yuan, and Shoju. But everyone understands that besides direct combat, Starlight and Yuan excel in other aspects. Yuan's expertise in formations. During large-scale wars, his contribution surpasses Luo Feng's. Starlight is masterful in strategy, always gaining the upper hand. Even in large-scale wars, the bodies of the ancestor usually end up in Starlight's possession. Indeed, the outside world generally believes that Luo Feng, Xingmang, and Yuan are among the top 3 in overall strength. This is also the foundation for the lords to lead all source worlds. Bullying the weak. Luo Feng said coldly, that 13 snake ancestor devoured source worlds and conveniently slaughtered countless source world creatures within. Is that not bullying the weak? Ha ha ha. Yuan laughed loudly. Infinite Snake Ancestor, as long as you dare to devour source worlds, we dare to bully the weak. This time we only killed over 300 world-level primordial great serpents, next time at least we'll double it. Not only world-level primordial great serpents, but we also need to kill more high-level primordial great serpents, Xingmang said coldly. The distant Infinite Snake Ancestor was furious. If world-level primordial great serpent is the backbone of the group, then the massive number of high-level primordial great serpents is the group's foundation. Losing billions is no concern to the Infinite Snake Ancestor, but if they are to be completely wiped out, the Infinite Snake Ancestor would be panicked. With Xingmang's strength, at any cost, it could completely annihilate 99% of the high-level primordial great serpent clan. This time, it's just a warning. Luo Feng said, wielding the blade in his hand. Blade light flashed. Infinite Snake Ancestor felt a moment of panic, instantly completely virtualized to avoid this blade. It could feel the fearsome nature of the blade. Buzz. This blade came suddenly. Yet, it pierced through infinite spacetime in an instant. A streak of blade light seemed to split the heavens and earth in two, slicing open the thick and tenacious infinite primordial void, creating a deep void canyon. This is Infinite Snake Ancestor, Inference Fire Ancestor, Mother of Spacetime, and Infinite Ancestor were all dumbfounded. The length of the void rift cut by this blade surpassed the length of an entire world group. To cover such a vast area while maintaining such strong power. And after unleashing this blade, the terrifying blade scar seemed to be imprinted in the primordial void, persisting for a long time. The primordial void instinctively wanted to heal. But the sword intent imprinted by this blade repeatedly tore at the void. Those who want to devour source worlds. Luo Feng glanced around, sensing that almost every ancestor was looking here from afar. Think first whether you can bear the price. Yuan looked at this terrifying blade with shock and joy. This was the most fearsome display of destructive power by Luo Feng. Let's go. Xingmang also smiled. Whoosh! The three lords broke through spacetime and left immediately. Infinite Snake Ancestor, Inference Fire Ancestor, Mother of Spacetime, and Infinite Ancestor watched this terrifying blade with increasing heart palpitations. What a powerful blade! Kafu's avatar descended, delightfully watching this blade. SS Novel Fire.net One after another, avatars descended. In an instant, over 100 ancestor avatars gathered here, like a party. The infinite world isolates external investigations, making it impossible to see what happened. But from their conversations, Lord Luo Feng went in, killed the 13 snake ancestor, and wiped out over 300 world-level great serpents. And left behind this blade as a warning. This blade piercing a range exceeding a world group, it's too terrifying. From now on, never appear with one's true body before Lord Luo Feng, or risk being slaughtered by a blade. Why hasn't the power of this blade diminished? Many ancestors observed the blade, noticing its mysterious aspect. When primordial lords engage, the techniques used naturally diminish and disappear. Yet this blade cleaves the endless primordial void, so vast in scope, has it not diminished? Brother Luo Feng's sword intent is already beyond imagination. Kafu stared fascinated at the blade scar, saying, his blade contains an everlasting vitality, a characteristic of immortality. Even after countless epochs, this blade will still exist. The primordial void has an instinct to heal its cracks. Hermit observed beside him, saying, so the remaining terrifying sword intent constantly fights against the void's instinct. Sword intent will still diminish, but the years of decay will be very long. Currently, this sword intent can injure ancestors. Future, it should only be able to threaten world-level primordial. The gathered ancestors agreed. Eternal non-decay. That doesn't conform to understanding. From this blade, Lord Luo Feng's power surpasses the last great battle. No wonder he dared to charge into the infinite world with Yuan and Xingmang. How terrifying indeed. These ancestor avatars watching felt some fear. Most ancestors abandoned the idea of devouring source world. Forcibly charging into the infinite world, slaughtering 13 snake ancestors, and over 300 world-level primordial great serpents. Also, leaving behind a terrifying blade, shocking all parties. Indeed, it also quelled some eager ancestors. After the great battle, we seldom obtained a complete ancestor corpse, and now this 13 snake ancestors corpse, Elder Yuan, you're going to monopolize. Jindu couldn't help but say, recently, over 120 million epochs, you've repeatedly stolen and snatched. How many resources have you taken? Little brother Jin. You became a lord, and I also contributed greatly, didn't I? Yuan pouted. How little resources have I taken from you, and you're jumping. If I didn't give it to you, you'd directly rush into my cave mansion to rob it. Jin was angry. Brother Yuan, you're indeed wrong to do that. Wulan also said. I didn't rob. Yuan shook his head. I just went to his cave mansion to borrow some treasures. If he didn't agree himself, how could I possibly rob a lord's hidden treasures? Jin was furious. Yuan disregarded shame, so he could only borrow. I truly need this corpse. Yuan looked around. I urgently lack it to create Source World. Lord Moman also said, Brother Yuan, you've been saying you want to create Source World, investing various resources, trying repeatedly, but what were the results? Haven't they always failed? This time is different. I'm prepared with the corpses of Thousand Eyes Ancestor, an infinite great serpent as the foundation. One specializes in soul power, the other in physical power. With them as the foundation, this time it will surely succeed. Yuan said. Brother Yuan, you've said many times that it will succeed. Luo Feng was also helpless. Just this once, just once. Yuan looked around. All 7 lords were helpless. After all, every person who became a lord owed Yuan a favor. The old rules then. Xingmang said. Got it. Yuan smiled cheekily. Leave some ancestor flesh for Nai Gu. Unnecessary bits remain as shared materials. Yuan soon took the 13 snake ancestor corpse, leaving only 2 or 3 parts of the materials, took the rest, and once again started his source world creation plan. Xingmang, you need to take control of Elder Yuan, he's already gone too far. Jin said. It is a bit excessive. Lord Mo Man also said. Let's vote fairly amongst us 7 whether to manage Brother Yuan. Xingmang smiled, I think it's not urgent yet. Just a few ancestor corpses, a bit of resources, let's observe for now. Luo Feng said as well. The 7 voted, Jin, Nai Jiu, Mo Man thought to manage, the other 4 thought it wasn't urgent yet. You'll indulge him to become more excessive. Jin was furious, turned around, and left. The river of time flows endlessly. The origin world too experiences cycle after cycle of reincarnation, with countless cultivators unable to escape its grasp. Those who survive into the next reincarnation era are exceedingly rare. Meanwhile, the land of origin world, home to Lord Luo Feng, exists beyond such cycles, free from the calamities of reincarnation. Through the passage of time, the land of origin has become increasingly prosperous, with strength abounding. Ha ha ha. I, Luo Hai, have finally come to the land of origin on my own. A young man carrying a blade arrives at the land of origin, looking around in excitement. For this day, Luo Hai has paid a great price. The suppression of heaven and earth in the land of origin is indeed formidable. I can't even fly. Standing on the vast wilderness, Luo Hai's mind stirs, sprouting a pair of silver wings from his back, allowing him to fly using the secret treasure of his wings. Whoosh tilde tilde tilde. Flying high above, Luo Hai gazes at the expansive world below. Luo Hai. A familiar voice calls out, and a black-robed child appears out of thin air, smiling at Luo Hai. Barbat. Luo Hai recognizes him, surprised. Barbat, you can teleport within the land of origin. I, Barbat, am now one of the 72 vice-governors of the 9th Assembly of the land of origin. Barbat declares confidently, with the governor order in hand, I can easily reach any location within the land of origin. Plus, your father has even elevated my physical body to the godly king level threshold. The highest 9 great governors of the land of origin serve indefinitely. But the 72 vice-governors are regularly replaced. Barbat, due to gaining Luo Feng's trust, finally became one of the 72 vice-governors in the 9th Assembly. Barbat looks at Luo Hai, shaking his head. You took so many long years just to become a true god. With talent like that, even given more time, you'd never reach godly king. Why not learn from your elder brother? Let your father directly elevate you to the ultimate realm of godly king. Or even raise you to the divine emperor level, that's entirely possible. With Luo Feng's primordial life and death Tao, transforming life forms to godly king level, or divine emperor level, is quite easy. That would be so dull. Luo Hai shakes his head. Dad became a lord. I have long been immortal. Given this, I should explore the path of cultivation with infinite time, carefully navigating the challenges and joys it offers. The path of cultivation is full of trials, and overcoming each difficulty is indeed a joyful task. Unlike you all, who have completely abandoned the path of cultivation. Luo Hai shakes his head. His cultivation is not about believing he can cultivate to immense strength, but about enjoying the various landscapes along the cultivation journey. True God of void space, eternal true God, each stage has so many landscapes. For more chapters visit novelfire.net. Relying on his father to become a godly king, a divine emperor. Forever stuck at that realm. Too dull. Your path can be freely chosen, but not ours. We don't have the privilege of capriciousness. Barbat shakes his head. With Luo Feng's high status, surrounded by many friends and family, meeting him is not easy, so there's no room to nitpick. Rarely meeting once, naturally, one should seize the opportunity and seek favors. The Ninth Assembly's 72 vice-governors have just reached him, which shows how many people there are before him. All thanks to his deep friendship with Luo Feng, did Luo Feng specifically meet him, and thus he obtained the life-type, godly king-level first realm physical body. His former master, Hu Yangbo, only obtained some cultivation resources, plus 3 resurrection opportunities, without a chance for individual meetings with Luo Feng. As for cultivation, Hu Yangbo entirely relies on himself. Luo Feng, personally aiding in the transformation of life forms, does so rarely. Need me to accompany you? The land of origin is home to crouching dragons and hidden tigers, masters abound. For a minor true god like you, venturing through the land of origin is quite dangerous, Barbat offers. No need. Luo Hai shakes his head. Not even intelligence. Barbat queries. Luo Hai smiles. I'm seeking exactly the surprises. Let me properly explore the land of origin myself. Barbat, helpless, watches Luo Hai's wings flap as he flies away. Luo Ping and Luo Hai, such diametrically different personalities. Barbat laments, for now, the tangled forces within the land of origin are complex and perilous, yet Luo Hai seems wholly unconcerned. Abyss of destruction, at its core, lies the mountain of destruction. Luo Feng's primary combat avatar has arrived here. Little Hai finally became a true god, and has come to the land of origin. Luo Feng also smiles slightly, then looks towards the distant 7 sculptures. Throughout long millennia, Luo Feng has attempted many times, repeatedly defeated by the 6th sculpture. Yet the gap continues to diminish. Through the ages of warfare, 19 new ancestors have emerged. Other ancestors have experienced some growth in strength, with 2 more undying and undying added. Luo Feng frowns, but our cultivator camp has yet to birth new lords. Our overall strength improvement remains minimal. Starlight, Mo Man have yet to refine the intermediate mysterious land. Other lords find little progress in cultivation. Yuan still tries creating source worlds, but Naigu's power increased somewhat. But considering the cultivator camp overall, there's scant enhancement in strength. Endless primordial space harbors even more ancestors. Their strength steadily ascends. Luo Feng understands, however, every new lord born in the cultivator camp marks a qualitative transformation. The cultivator camp's strength leaps with every lord born. But birthing a new lord is incredibly difficult. Luo Feng lightly shakes his head. Despite their diligent governance by 8 lords, there's yet no hope for a new lord's emergence. Luo Feng continues forward. Within the 7 sculptures, the 6th, miniature mountain of destruction, awakens, the intangible aura of this black mountain remotely locking onto Luo Feng, then slowly flying towards him, its speed leisurely. As the distance grew closer, the size of Black Mountain also became larger, eventually reaching 1/10 of the size of the Mountain of Destruction. Luo Feng calmly watched his opponent. Having faced it many times, he was very familiar with this powerful opponent. Boom! Black Mountain's speed suddenly increased dramatically, crushing forward, and under this terrifying momentum, space-time was distorted, further restricting Luo Feng's movement. But Luo Feng couldn't be bothered to dodge. He directly drew his knife. The blade light flashed. PSHH. Silently and without a sound, this massive black mountain was split open with a crack, its gigantic body also brushing against Luo Feng, causing him to be blown back with a bang, severely injured. As Luo Feng flew backwards, he continued to swing his knife. Luo Feng knew very well that cutting off life, locking in, these techniques were meaningless. For the massive black mountain, what was needed was destruction. To completely destroy this formidable body. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. The massive black mountain charged recklessly, its momentum terrifying, whenever it brushed, bumped, or collided with Luo Feng, he would be sent flying repeatedly, sustaining injuries multiple times, and Luo Feng's energy reserves would restore to their pinnacle each time. While continually being injured, Luo Feng also frantically swung his knife, the blood shadow knife landing again and again on the massive black mountain. The blade light, sometimes cleaving through everything, sliced open crack after crack. Sometimes with hidden power, the blade light penetrated deep within the black mountain through the cracks. Sometimes with terrifying power, it exploded within the depths of Black Mountain, igniting from inside and outside. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. Luo Feng flew around erratically, his skin split open, blood dripping, with each hit losing at least 1 or 2% of energy reserves. This was the result under the augmentation of the power of destruction and the power of the galaxy territory. Black Mountain entirely relied on brute force, its crushing attacks, far fiercer than Luo Feng's, with a body as strong as Wulan's. Of course, Wulan was a lord, his body had no weaknesses. However, Black Mountain, as one of the 7 sculptures, had a weakness in its energy core. This was also Luo Feng's hope for victory. Boom. Luo Feng fought fiercely against this Black Mountain for a long time. After slashing out hundreds of thousands of times, he finally reached the core point within Black Mountain. In the instant the blade light passed over that core, the entire Black Mountain silently shrank back, returning to its original place, transforming back to its original sculpture form. Did I win? Luo Feng was somewhat pleasantly surprised, revealing a smile. The last large-scale war, he had already defeated the 5th sculpture. Over the long years until now, his blade technique progress had been very slow, and only with the accumulation of time did the gap with the 6th sculpture gradually narrow. Until today, after a fierce battle of hundreds of thousands of slashes, he finally defeated the 6th sculpture. Suddenly, an invisible fluctuation enveloped Luo Feng. Luo Feng felt it, the immense power that he could freely control, power equivalent to the power of destruction world, evidently one of the 7 portions of power of the abyss of destruction. The power of the abyss of destruction on me has doubled. If I were to face the 6th sculpture again, I should win more easily. Luo Feng also understood, this was a gift from the rules of the abyss of destruction. Only by mastering and refining the core, can one truly control the abyss of destruction. Let's try the 7th sculpture. Luo Feng looked expectantly at the last sculpture. The 7th sculpture was a miniature abyss of destruction, each layer within containing some miniature sculptures, including Bawei Yu, the primordial beast ancestor, and all other ancestors and lords who historically occupied the destruction world, naturally including the other 7 lords of the cultivator camp. This sculpture, once defeated, would grant control over the highest level mysterious land, the abyss of destruction. Let's give it a try and see the power of this 7th sculpture. Luo Feng walked forward. When he got close enough, the 7th miniature abyss of destruction sculpture slowly awakened, and the miniature sculptures of the strong figures inside began to fly out, eventually transforming into 28 figures. Yuan, Starlight, Shoju, Ice Mountain Master, Infinite Ancestor, Infinite Snake Ancestor, Demon Ruins, etc., a total of 28 existences, each with no expression, exuding an aura of destruction. 1 against 28. Luo Feng's expression changed slightly. In the endless primordial space to this day, throughout history, there were a total of 29 who had occupied the destruction world. Once occupied, it would be recorded by the 7th sculpture. To face all the strong ones except himself. Boom. The 28 figures, expressionless, attacked simultaneously. Seeing them attack in an instant, Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. Because these 28 figures all used the power of destruction. Just the strength differed slightly. Thankfully all of them used the power of destruction. If Brother Yuan and the others came here with their true bodies, Brother Yuan's formation, could coordinate all companions, increasing their overall strength by several times, and in one move, they could destroy me. Luo Feng knew this very well. This combination of 28, even with just casual cooperation, was enough to rival an ordinary 100 ancestors. If coordinated by Yuan's perfect formation, amplified 3 or 4 times, the power, even a body as strong as Wulan's would explode, and Luo Feng wouldn't be able to withstand it. Rumble ~~~. Updates are released by Novaya.net. As if the heavens and earth were collapsing, the endless power unleashed by the 28 figures poured down wantonly, all locked onto Luo Feng, leaving him nowhere to hide. Holding the blood shadow knife, Luo Feng felt suffocated. He immediately transformed into a beam of blade light to try to deflect the power. But under the boundless power of destruction, Luo Feng also turned pale, barely holding on to this move. His main battle avatar was left with only 50% of the energy reserves. Can't fight. Luo Feng directly retreated, in a thought he escaped the mountain of destruction. As long as a mark is left in the mountain of destruction, one can freely enter and exit. A few moments later, after regaining his strength, Luo Feng returned from the lowest level of the destruction world to the mountain of destruction, and the seventh sculpture had already returned to its place. Although they all wield the power of destruction, a 1 against 28, Luo Feng gently shook his head. My body simply can't withstand it. Outside, I can choose to transform into blade light and escape. But to defeat the seventh sculpture, I must fight. Facing unavoidable power, my own defense must be strong enough. Otherwise, I won't survive. My seventh sculpture challenge is all the strong ones who have occupied the destruction world except me. Luo Feng suddenly thought, the seventh test faced by other strong ones should include me, right? Luo Feng smiled, then directly went near the mountain of destruction, reached out to touch the mountain, and began exchanging treasures. There were already 2 destruction fruits, no need to wait anymore. The seventh sculpture, the power of destruction locked onto me, there's nowhere to hide. Luo Feng thought, defense capabilities must be increased. With one face-to-face encounter, only half of the energy reserves are left, greatly reducing strength. How can I fight? This shows. The controller of the abyss of destruction not only has strong destructive power, but must also have strong self-defense capabilities, a very high threshold. Weapon secret treasures. Luo Feng carefully reviewed the treasures. 1 destruction fruit can choose any one among 3,000 weapon secret treasures, Kafu's battle armor being one of them. 2 destruction fruits can choose any one among 100 weapon secret treasures. Proficient in defense. Luo Feng's mind shifted, quickly selecting a cloak treasure. Whoosh! A black Liu Guang flew out from the mountain of destruction, landed on Luo Feng, transforming into a black cloak exuding a terrifying aura of destruction, draping over him, protecting his whole body. A blade and a cloak, my 2 major treasures from now on. Luo Feng was quite satisfied, then looked at the distant seventh sculpture, and walked over again. As he approached, the seventh sculpture awakened once more. This time, Luo Feng did not dodge, nor did he wield any weapon techniques, relying solely on brute force. 28 figures burst forth terrifying destructive power, locked onto Luo Feng, completely enveloping him. Boom ~~~. Luo Feng clearly felt, the destruction cloak on his body was incredibly resilient. After the cloak's obstruction, only half of the power penetrated inside, able to touch the protective energy layer, Crane Leader's power of the destruction world. After resisting head-on, only losing 1% of energy reserves, Luo Feng was rather satisfied. With 2 forces from the abyss of destruction, the power of the galaxy territory, and this treasure cloak, with these external assists, Luo Feng's physical body could finally match the strength of Wulan. At least I can compete now. Luo Feng attempted to make a move. Moments later, Luo Feng gave up. Because the seventh sculpture's explosive destructive power was continuous, keeping him always bathed in horrifying power, even using blade lights all things can be cut to fly, he couldn't touch the 28 figures. Constantly getting hit, his various blade lights would be submerged in the torrent of destructive power. And the techniques like life cutting had no effect on the sculpture. The gap is too big. Luo Feng understood this point. From the sixth sculpture to the seventh sculpture, the difficulty increased significantly. And as time goes on, the overall strength of the strong people in endless primordial space improves, raising the difficulty of the seventh sculpture. Because it requires fighting against all the strong ones who have occupied the destruction world except himself. The three highest level mysterious lands, wanting to control them, are estimated to be very difficult. Luo Feng was still very confident, because to master the abyss of destruction before him, one needs to defeat sculptures representing a large group of strong ones including him, Yuan, Starlight, and many others. In the subsequent years, Luo Feng occasionally went to the Mountain of Destruction to spar with the seventh sculpture of the Mountain of Destruction. After all, he has no other worthy opponents now. This seventh sculpture is the only one that can crush him. During an encounter with the seventh sculpture, Luo Feng suddenly had a sense. Brother Yuan succeeded. Luo Feng showed a joyful expression. In a vast void, a gigantic source world appeared. Ha ha. Read complete version only at novi.fi.net. Yuan smiled at the source world before him, as if looking at the most perfect treasure of the endless primordial space, also as if seeing his children nurtured over endless years. He gave much for this source world, numerous resources, long years of effort. When finally successful, Yuan just felt immensely satisfied. Source world. Luo Feng, Starlight, Jin, Ming Huang, Wulan, Mo Man, Nai Jiu each had a thought descend, forming avatars. It really is a source world. Jin looked at the vast and serene source world, now devoid of creatures, just formed, even the land, void, etc., was still in the process of shaping. The structure of the source world is also very marvelous. Starlight marveled, if we say this source world is a big tree, then the corpses of Thousand Eyes ancestor and 13 snake ancestors are its root system, nourishing the entire source world. No way. Yuan shook his head. I can't conjure up source world origin essence out of thin air. So I had to use the corpses of Thousand Eyes ancestor and 13 snake ancestors to substitute. Converting them into origin essence was quite troublesome, trying for so long, finally succeeded. Yuan didn't want to talk about the bitterness involved, too tiring. What is its name? Luo Feng curiously asked. I named it, World Heart Continent. Yuan eagerly stated, the center of many source worlds. Everyone, I have one more request. Yuan looked at his companions. The seven lords felt a tightness in their hearts. A request. Brother Yuan, speak. Luo Feng said. Next, I will carefully nurture this World Heart Continent. Yuan was quite expectant. I want to compare whether the creatures nurtured by the World Heart Continent have fundamental differences from other source world creatures. So I need to select some outstanding cultivators from many source worlds, to let them reincarnate onto the World Heart Continent. Swallowed Star 2 novel end here. Thank you for watching.